This video is going to take you through how you can use Pentaho Kettle to populate your Remedyforce CMDB. For today, we're using the BMC Client Management tool, but this can be done with any asset source that's out there. On the call today, we have David Judkins, who is a Remedyforce consultant extraordinaire, and my name is Ann Brock. I'm going to be playing the role of the customer today. So we're going to go through a little scenario playing now and see how it goes. David. Hey, this is Ann. How are you doing?
Hi, Ann. This is David. I'm doing well.
You know, it's been resting in my mind. You mentioned the other day that we could actually bring our assets into the Remedyforce CMDB. I thought this was going to be a huge effort, but the other day you made it sound like it was only going to be a few days' efforts. Is that true?
That's very true. In fact, BMC already has several pre-built packages, and since you mentioned you are using BCM, we can actually pull that data in using the pre-built packages.
Really? So could we give it a try?
Let's.
Okay, great. I think you have control of the WebEx, so if you want to go ahead and share your screen and show me how to do it.
I will share. And I actually have Pentaho open. The application that we're going to use is an application called Pentaho, and this is an ETL tool, an extract, transform, load tool. BMC uses this quite extensively with their integrations. And prior to this call, I actually did download the BCM package, and the slight modifications that I did were to go into the actual job and just modify a little bit of data. So I need to actually connect to a particular, in the case of BCM, connect to an actual instance wherever my database resides, the actual password, and I also needed to specify where the data will go. I'm just going to load it into my demo system. So those are the only connections I actually have to make. Where is the data that I'm going to pull from, and then where should I actually send it? Those are the only changes that I actually made, and this package is then ready to go. So at this point, should I just download
Yeah. What happens if we run it?
And let's run it. Hit run. It takes just a few moments. It actually runs, and it will now pull in the data from BCM, all my asset data, and then push that into into the Remedyforce CMDB.
Can it really be that easy? Show it to me. I want to see it in the CMDB.
Actually, it is. So here's the CMDB now, and I have some test data in here, but if we go out to the computer system class in the CMDB, there is some data out here, and I'm going to go over to page 2, and this is now the data that actually exists in here because of that pull. I also want to show it possibly in SQL Server as well, just to kind of show this is where the data resided. So it was coming from this database table called devices, and here's the data right here. So this is the data that actually came from, in this case, SQL Server, which is the backend for BCM, and this is the data that we pulled out of BCM.
Wait, so now that data is in my Remedyforce CMDB?
Correct.
That quickly?
That quickly.
Okay. So let me look at one of these records.
Any
record.
We'll do that one. Gibbs 05.
So from what you told me the other day, normally the IP address is put into its own class of data and hooked to this record.
Right.
What if I wanted to put the IP address like into notes instead of having it as a separate class? Is there a way where I can add attributes into the job?
Okay, yes. You definitely can. So let me go back into Pentaho. The actual fields that we're importing are right here, and we need to specify a different field name, modify our query, put the actual field name in there, and then what Pentaho does is a series of steps. These are all individual steps. So we would need to modify here the values that we're pulling out of asset core, and then over here, we need to also specify, hey, we want to put the IP address into this field. So it would be pretty straightforward. I need to get the actual IP address column in the database and then push that to the notes column in Remedyforce. So it actually would be a pretty simple thing to do.
Cool. Now, if I have a custom field in Remedyforce, can I also push it into a custom field?
Absolutely, yes. All these fields here that we're looking at, these are the default ones, but I'm going to click on the Edit Mapping button, and you'll see that all the fields that are in the CMDB, including your custom ones, and it will take a second as it's loading all these. So these are all the fields that exist in my Remedyforce instance, and I believe these are all the standard ones, but any custom ones that you have, you could actually push those as well. And this is an even better way of looking at it. Here's the existing mappings that we have.
Okay.
We could put the notes
fields.
So
we got the source fields and just,
wow. The source fields over here, and then the actual fields, where should we actually push this? And these are all the fields that exist in Pentaho. And then these are the fields that exist now in Remedyforce, and we just map them together. For instance, let's say that's the IP address field we'd be adding, and then some other field there. That could be notes, and then you just click Add.
Very
and
nice.
Now make that mapping.
Wow. So I have to know where I want to put it, but it's definitely possible to do.
Right, exactly. So a little work on your side to realize, okay, which fields do I want? I understand that, and then we can easily figure out those fields, and then figure out which fields we should map them to in Remedyforce. Also, there are instances where maybe a field exists in the database, in this case in BCM, and maybe you want it to show up differently in Remedyforce.
That's true.
Do you have any instances
because it might be like a number in BCM,
right?
And I want to have a word in Remedyforce since I don't have the same number table.
Exactly. So let's go back
to do that.
Yeah. So let's go back to it and look. So you referenced that notes field. So there could be any instance where maybe, I don't know, token ID that might mean something to you. Maybe 1217 actually has an English translation for humans. So maybe this number makes sense to computers, but for us it should say, I don't know, Windows.
Houston or Windows
there you go.
or whatever.
Houston. I like Houston better.
Yeah.
So exactly right. So again, back in Pentaho, and BMC thought of this already, you can actually come to this transform asset core variable step. Don't let this code confuse you. It actually is quite simple to make.
Yeah, I think I need binoculars now.
So there's quite a bit in here, but really, this is JavaScript syntax, and it's actually quite simple. So I already forgot the name of that column that we had there. And we can just make something up.
Yeah, make something up.
So var, let's just say we're doing something like system type. So I can actually make a variable here really easily. So there I've now declared a variable. And let's say we were pulling in data from device. Do we have anything else like system? We'll just go with device. So this is an actual column that's in BCM. And if I wanted to say, hey, if the value in device ID is equal to 1217, that's a very simple statement. So if this column or this field has a value of it that's equal to 1217, then do 1217, then do something. Oh, I missed a single quote there.
Okay. So I could say if it equals 1217,
right, then
set system type to Windows, Linux, VMware.
Exactly right. Something like that. We've sort of, that's not, this isn't pseudocode. We actually really did that, but these, we just made this variable system type. I'm not 100% sure what actually is in device ID, and I'm almost positive it won't equal to 1217. But if we did the research and figured out what what values are coming over from BCM, we could then transform them, which is what one of the things Pentaho does. Not only does it extract data, it transforms it as well. We can transform it and then push that transformed data into Remedyforce.
Gotcha. So where you were before with all that mapping, you don't have to show it right now, but I would now have system type available to map into a Remedyforce field.
Correct. Exactly right.
So it sounds like the hardest part is me knowing what I want. Are you going to be able to work with me as we look at the BCM data and the Remedyforce data so we can decide what makes sense to bring over?
Absolutely. And one of the other important aspects is I know the Remedyforce CMDB and how it's built, so I can help you with not only maybe creating new fields, but possibly using existing fields to bring over that data.
That would be great. Now, before I get your time for a few days, I'm going to have to sell my boss on this. Why do I want to do this? When I'm in Remedyforce on an incident, what does this buy me?
Okay. Visibility. I guess let's just say a singular word, visibility. If you do have your asset data pulled into Remedyforce, you can then do things like determine, so let's just say this is a specific CI. This is the instance, and this instance name for this CI is Gibbs 005. I'm going to click on this. We don't have, since we just pulled this in, we don't have anything. Let's actually add it. We could see things like, hey, how many times has this particular item been a part of an incident or a part of a change request? We can even audit and see, hey, how many times have we changed a hard drive or memory in this? So it's very simple to link this particular, now that we have it imported, link this particular asset to an incident. So let's do that. I'll just make a new one. This is my test instance here of Salesforce. So let's just make it a new incident with me as the client, and we'll just choose any category. Again, just a sample ticket. My standard description. This is the test. And we can come down here now to the configuration item and assets, and we can just find that particular item. This is the one that we had, and let's save it.
Oh, so now I can run reports and say how many tickets came in against Gibbs 005.
Correct.
And I can yell at Gibbs for putting in so many tickets.
Right. Once that saves, or Dell for having a bug, once that saves, we'd then be able to see, hey, here is an actual incident, or let's refresh it. It might have saved already. So now I didn't even go back and see, did it work? We now know it did. So I can now select incident, and I can see that new incident is what was registered. So incident 49 is linked now to this particular asset, Gibbs 05. So again, visibility, you can now see what exactly has happened with this particular item, and you can actually see it through its entire life cycle.
Perfect. This is exactly what my boss has been asking about. So this huge project I thought was going to be such a big deal, it looks like we can actually, if I get some time on your calendar, we can knock this out in maybe 3, 4, or 5 days.
Exactly
and start getting this data going.
Exactly right. And the CMDB is such an integral part of the help desk. So really is something I think you should definitely do.
Great. Well, thank you, David. This was perfect. I'll be calling you soon. So thank you for your time.
Excellent.